Okay, welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. With the arcanist. Time to pick up the scholar. Oh, Serenia. Have you any interest in history? If so, I would share with you an opportunity to study the ways of the ancients. A curiously refined and well-read marauder visited the guild the other day in hopes he might meet an arcanist of exceptional skill. He claims that the assistance of one such individual would be invaluable for the success of his archaeological research. I say claim because despite his eloquence, the thought of a marauder of academic ambitions still strikes me as odd. You are, of course, free to formulate your own opinion. His name is Archaeological, and he can be found at the Marauders Guild should curiosity overwhelm you. Okay. And where is Archaeological? Thank you for setting aside your preconceptions, Serenia. I'm acutely aware of how unusual it is for a marauder to conduct research, as it were. However, you shall soon understand that I am not at all like my more muscular brethren. Rather than rush blindly into the enemy's maw, I formulate and execute stratagems to great effect. My archaeological pursuits are but an extension of this practice, for at present I'm researching the military tactics of ancient Nym. It would not surprise me if you were unfamiliar with Nym. The civilization flourished 15-odd centuries ago during the 5th astral era. The Nymians lived during an age of wonder when the magical arts flourished, but magics can be wielded for weal or woe, and this period of peace eventually gave way to the Great War of the Magi. The nations of a bygone era brought earth-shattering magics to bear against one another. Yet Nym, with only a handful of mages to support its armies of mariners, repulsed would-be invaders time and time again. Precisely how a military force of this composition could defy its stronger neighbors is a mystery which long puzzled military historians. By translating extant Nymian tablets, which I have recently purchased, I mean to solve the riddle at long last. As my knowledge of Arcanima is cursory at best, I require an experienced arcanist to assist me with my analysis of any text pertaining to the magical arts. Will you be that arcanist, Serenia? There is, however, a complication. The Nymian tablets and other assorted relics, for which I paid an exceedingly large amount of money, were stolen en route to Limsa. The information inscribed upon those tablets could be of untold significance. I will not allow thieves to sell it to some rich Uldan collector for a pittance. Pray accompany me to the Wenket docks and help me reclaim my relics. I have a strong reason to believe the perpetrators can be found there. Okay. So, by the way, we already did the Tonberry quest line, and we learned there that the Tonberries are the people of the sorcerers of Nym who were transformed into Tonberries by a curse or some such. Anyway, the people of Nym are alive. As I suspected, there's not more than broken men who've seized the docks and taken to robbing every passing ship. Come, let us put an end to their banditry and take back what's ours. Broken Thaumaturge, broken Lancer. Have at thee, knaves! I deal with a Thaumaturge first. We have a marauder here he can tank for us. See, he taunted. Do you see any others? No? Excellent. Now help me search for the tablets. Yes, yes, this is it. A treatise on Nymian military tactics, just as I had hoped. And that's the soul stone. Hello, who are you? Hello there. Ah! Mayhap the tablet can explain this. Scholars? Familiars? Fairies? The sunlight of Eos does soothe and shield. The moonlight of the land does silence and strengthen. Serenia? Level 12, have you any idea what this means? We've rediscovered the long-lost magical arts of Nymian scholars. Fairies. Honest to God's fairies. Well, now I've seen everything. Anyway, I shall return to the guild and begin translating the tablet. I cannot wait to see what other secrets it contains. Excellent timing, Serenia. I've just finished transcribing a section which will doubtless be of interest to you. According to the tablet, the crystal from which the fairy sprang forth is called the soul of a scholar and contains the wisdom of those long-dead Nymian mages. With it, you can call upon the fairy as you did before and bind her to your will. As I said before, I have little knowledge of Arcanima, so unless you have some objections, I would like to entrust the crystal to you. Oh, and you needn't recompense me. Simply knowing that the lost arts are being preserved is enough. I shall devote my energies to deciphering the remaining text. Should I discover anything new, I promise that you will be the first to know. Soul of a scholar and... The Fae is awoken by the soul of a scholar. The fairy is a healer type pet. Yeah, I need to reset all that a little bit because the scholar is a bit unusual insofar that the base class, the arcanist, is a DPS class while the scholar is a healer. So I have to rearrange it a little bit and test it out. Okay. But a cut here. Next we see each other after I leveled this a bit. Serenia, I was hoping you might come along. Deciphering the treaties has proven more difficult than anticipated, but I have nevertheless made progress. It contains a wealth of military knowledge, much of which details the role of scholars in Nymian units. Apparently, a single scholar could provide effective support for an entire party of marauders. They would employ their magics to heal the wounds and enhance the abilities of their allies. Moreover, they often served in leadership roles as they were highly trained tacticians. But how swiftly the remembrance of all things is buried in the gulf of eternity. The treatise indicates that Nymian scholars wielded a far more diverse repertoire of spells than you currently possess. Precisely why you lack these spells I cannot say. However, fault may lie with your fairy. One could surmise that the knowledge contained within the soul of a scholar is essentially hers. Therefore, if she cannot remember the ancient magics, it would suggest that... A thought occurs to me. If it is indeed the case that a fairy, having been sealed for 1500 years, has yet to fully regain her senses, mayhap visiting a familiar location would hasten the process. And I can think of no more familiar place than the city of Nym, rather what remains of it in Outer Lanacea. Is here? Okay. Forgotten Whisper. Let's come in, my fairy. The fairy strains to remember. Oh, cows. Okay. Die. Die. Let's try this again. Oh, seriously, how do I get up there? Can I jump over, perhaps? Okay. You're actually a hunt target. Shame, didn't get it in time. Okay, and to return to Archaeological. Welcome back, Serenia. I gather the experiment met with success? Then this strongly suggests that each fairy is a distinct individual with her own thoughts, feelings, and memories. Well, I must redouble my effort to translate the remaining text. At this rate, your discoveries threaten to overshadow mine. Not to bemoan your accomplishment, but I have yet to decipher any equally amazing stratagems. Soon enough, though. Soon enough. And page. The fairy has imparted to you knowledge of a new art. Sucker. So, since you are a quick worker, right? How curious that you always come at the most opportune times, Serenia. 'Tis divine providence, almost. Doubly so, since we have both been blessed with a chance to refine our respective arts. You see, in your absence I've been studying a section of a Nymian treatise detailing marauder fighting techniques. The fundamentals do not differ much from modern methods, but there's slight variation in footwork and grip, as well as the distinctions between the various ranges and attacks best employed when... Forgive me, I lost sight of a more pertinent point. Nymian scholars and marauders fought side by side, yes? Well, now you and I have an opportunity to do the same. A tonberry has been spotted in Bronze Lake, and the Marauders Guild has been asked to dispatch it. Since tonberries dwell within the Wanderer's Palace, an ancient Nymian temple recently discovered in the wake of a calamity, there is a strong possibility that the creatures have resided there since before the fall of Nym. Do you follow my reasoning, Serenia? These malevolent creatures may have overrun the temple and claimed it for their own at the height of Nymian civilization. They may have posed a major threat to the ancient people even. If so, then surely facing one in battle would rekindle the memories of your fairy. Even if I'm mistaken, the tonberry poses a threat to the locals. Moreover, I would very much like to put my newly learned Nymian techniques to the test. So, will we wander outside the Wanderer's Palace, yes? And this is the point where one of those points where I wished I could provide knowledge I have from other content already, because we did the Wanderer's Palace hard mode dungeon, and we know the tonberries are people of ancient Nym transformed by some sort of curse. That's why we're living in a Nymian ruin. Well met, Serenia. I've only just arrived myself. It was in this vicinity that the tonberry was last sighted. With luck, it would not have gone far. I also know you from the dungeon. The tonberry the scholars had. Look, atop the stairs. My son, my dear son, at long last the rancor, it rises, it rises. It comes. I shall draw his ire, Serenia. Lend me your support. Yeah, do so. Alka Solka Vedua. Slime. My marauder fails. Woo. Ah! No. What are you doing? Move, damn you! My... Confound it all! We encountered the Tonberry as the kindred for fairies' memories. Bah! What happened, Serenia? I thought you could control her! I apologize. I know you have only begun to work with a fairy. Some disobedience is to be expected. Ex-Master Renson will be disappointed, but there's naught we can do. The Tonberry is long gone. Let us return to Limsalominsa. As I said, the Tonberry is where the people of Nym, and it looks like the fairy knew this particular Tonberry. And the Tonberry recognized her. At least that's what it looked like to me. We will see how this story unfolds. Later, once I leveled again, of course. Serenia, permit me to apologize a second time. Earlier I was flustered, and not myself. In the aftermath of the Tonberry's escape, I completely overlooked our accomplishments. We confirmed the viability of Nymian tactics and proved that a scholar and marauder working in tandem is a force to be reckoned with. Would you not say? And correct me if I'm mistaken, but your fairy regained some of her memory, yes? With that in mind, I feel comfortable claiming that this was a worthwhile endeavor. However, do try and gain greater mastery over your minions, Arania. I would hate for a repeat of that incident. Time for more leveling.